Everyone wants to be happy. It's the one thing every human being is chasing, through love, money, success, or peace. But here's the strange part. The more we chase happiness, the faster it seems to run away. We scroll through perfect lives on screens, we fill our calendars, we reach our goals, and still, that feeling of contentment slips through our fingers. So, what if happiness isn't something to chase? What if it's something to understand? Because happiness isn't random. It's not luck. It's science. This is the hidden science of happiness. The illusion of I'll be happy when your brain plays a trick on you. It whispers, I'll be happy when I get there, when I earn more, when I find love, when I fix everything that's wrong. This is called the arrival fallacy, the belief that happiness exists somewhere in the future. But, here's the truth psychologists discovered. When you finally arrive, your brain adapts. It normalizes. It moves the goalpost. It's called hedonic adaptation, and our brain's ability to return to baseline after joy or success. That's why new things, a job, a car, a relationship, don't make you happy for long. Your brain gets used to them, and suddenly, you need more. Happiness isn't about getting everything you want. It's about changing what your brain values. The chemical symphony of joy. Every moment of happiness is a symphony inside your brain, a mix of chemicals creating emotion. Dopamine gives you motivation, that spark of reward when you achieve something. Serotonin gives you calmness, a sense of peace and stability. Oxytocin gives you connection, the warmth of trust and love. Endorphins give you relief, the laughter, the rush, the lightness. But here's what scientists found. Most people live chasing only dopamine. We chase hits, likes, messages, achievements, tiny doses that make us feel alive for a second, then empty again. Dopamine is addictive because it's about pursuit, but true happiness, the kind that lasts, is about presence. Serotonin and oxytocin grow not from chasing, but from slowing down. So, happiness isn't an adrenaline rush, it's really an alignment between your brain, your heart, and your values. Modern life gives us everything, except clarity. Psychologist Barry Schwartz calls it the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the harder it becomes to choose, and honestly, the less satisfied we feel after choosing. Your brain wasn't built for endless comparison. It was built for meaning. When you have too many paths, you start to wonder if every decision is a mistake. And that constant comparison, well, it kills happiness. Happiness doesn't come from having everything, it comes from knowing what matters most and letting go of the rest. Freedom isn't in endless choice, it's in commitment. If you ask people what makes life meaningful, most will say success, purpose, maybe freedom, but science says something different. The longest study on human happiness, the Harvard study of adult development, which followed people for over 80 years, found one truth. Happiness comes from connection. Not money, not fame, but deep, trusting relationships. Because loneliness is as deadly as smoking or heart disease. Your brain is wired for belonging. When you connect deeply, your oxytocin rises, your cortisol drops, your body literally heals. Happiness isn't found in isolation, it's born in empathy, laughter, and shared stories. You know, if you want to feel happy, stop trying to impress everyone and start connecting with just a few. Neuroscientists have found something quite remarkable. When you practice gratitude, your brain actually rewires itself. You shift activity from the amygdala, that's the fear center, to the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for calm and perspective. It's something called neural plasticity. Your thoughts, they literally reshape your brain. And that's why gratitude isn't just a cliche. It's chemical. Every time you focus on what's good, your brain builds new pathways, making it easier to feel joy again. Happiness isn't about ignoring pain, it's about expanding your capacity to notice beauty. Even when life isn't perfect. You don't need a perfect day to feel grateful. You just need a moment to realize that this one, right here, is already enough. There's a deeper kind of happiness, beyond mere pleasure, beyond just success. It's what we call eudaimonic happiness, the joy that comes from meaning. Psychologists have found that people who live with purpose activate the same reward centers in the brain as those who experience pleasure. But the effect lasts much longer. Purpose gives your pain a reason. It makes struggle feel sacred. When you're working towards something bigger than yourself, you stop asking, "Am I happy right now?" and start living in a state of quiet fulfillment. Happiness isn't the absence of struggle, it's the presence of meaning within it. So, here's something interesting. Psychologists once proposed this equation: H equals S plus C plus V. Happiness equals set point plus conditions plus voluntary actions. Your set point is your genetic baseline. That's about 50%. Your conditions? Formation sliding. Money down. Relationships. Health. Those make up about 10%, and the rest, nearly 40%, comes from intentional activity, the way you think, the way you focus, the habits you practice every day. That means, well, nearly half your happiness is still in your control. Not by changing your world, but by changing your mind. Studies show that the happiest people, they share some pretty simple habits. They sleep well, they move often, they express gratitude, they nurture relationships, and they live aligned with their values. There's no magic here, no secret formula, just small, consistent acts that train the brain to feel safe and content. Because happiness isn't found in the extraordinary, it's found in the ordinary moments you finally start paying attention to. Happiness isn't a destination, it's a rhythm. A gentle alignment between your mind and your heart. It's not about escaping pain, but learning to hold joy beside it. It's not about constant excitement, but deep, quiet peace. The hidden science of happiness isn't about what you achieve. It's about how present you allow yourself to be. When you stop chasing and start noticing, you realize that happiness was never missing. It was waiting, inside you, beneath the noise. Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you remember. Finding satisfaction and contentment is a continual process. Psychologists have now identified many of the tenets that help individuals along that journey. Happiness incorporates curiosity and the ability to tolerate risk and anxiety to discover new passions and facets of identity. It involves a balance between momentary pleasure and longer-term striving toward goals. It is abetted by friends and family who can both celebrate accomplishments and provide support after failures. Happiness includes the ability to acknowledge and embrace every emotion, even the unpleasant ones. It involves seeing the big picture, rather than getting stuck in the details. Overall, being happy is to live with mindfulness, meaning, and purpose. Daniel Gilbert, professor of psychology at Harvard, is a social psychologist and the author of Stumbling on Happiness. In this video, he challenges the common wisdom about happiness with surprising research. It's one of the first TED videos released, and I'm revisiting some of the classic TED Talks. Dan says that there are two types of happiness, that we create and that we happen upon. Natural happiness is what we get when we get what we wanted, and synthetic happiness is what we make when we don't get what we wanted. Our culture encourages the view that synthetic happiness is of an inferior kind. This doesn't feel like a normal academic conference. True, the 3-day Positive Psychology Summit is a sellout, with 425 attendees thronging the meeting rooms in downtown Washington, D.C. But despite the familiar trappings, something seems different. There's herbal tea available at breaks, and the conference's organizer, Shane Lopez of the University of Kansas, walks around smiling and ringing a dinner bell to prompt people to take their seats for the next session. This group is slimmer, healthier, younger, and more female than the usual scholarly crowd. Some stretch in yoga-like postures in the aisles, or recline on friends' bodies as if resting on a chaise longue. The professional jargon includes recurring words like flow, optimism, resilience, courage, virtues, energy, flourishing, strengths, happiness, curiosity, meaning, subjective well-being, forgiveness, and even joy. But the main difference probably shows up in the question periods. Typically, academics seem obsessed with poking holes in the argument of the presentation just made, finding fault, pointing out counterexamples, insisting on qualifications, with the transparent purpose of one-upping the speaker. Such shenanigans are absent here. They're trying to build, explains one participant. There's none of this academic carping, observes Professor of Psychiatry George Vaillant, who has spoken at 5 of these summit events. The teaching exercises I've done for positive psychology audiences have been an absolute joy. Here, people really laugh at the jokes. Stay curious, stay kind, and remember, science only explains it. You create it.